Welcome, 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 variants from across the multiverse. This is Geekverse Reactions brought to you by Mando Talk, and we are hyped up. I am loving that intro music, man. I vibe with it every single week. It gets me going. Sometimes, it's a rough day, but then as soon as I click play on that Geekverse Reactions music, I am hyped and ready to go. And joining me this week to discuss all the recent news and fun things in the Geekverse in the past week is none other than DJ Foster at Rebel Scum Texan. DJ, how's it going?
It's going great, man. I've actually personally had a fabulous day.
That's good. That is good.
And a lot accomplished today. In fact, at 6 o'clock, I met up with somebody on Facebook Marketplace and bought a brand new to me dresser.
Okay.
For my upcoming child. And the fun thing about it is my wife, who is 5 months pregnant, says, I can get in the back of the truck and hold the dresser while you drive. And I was like, no, not at all.
Hold up. How long was this trip where she was going to hold this?
It was 15 minutes.
Ooh, okay.
But the whole time I was like the most nervous driver. I was like,
Sure.
I mean, I was just and plus, it's also here in Fort Worth. It's about to start thunderstorming. So Hopefully no one loses me tonight.
Sure. Well, hopefully I've got it prepped to where if I do lose you, we'll still be able to continue.
We got this. We got it. So anyway, my afternoon after my evening has been eventful, but all's good. I got a new dresser in my home.
Yeah.
Good to go.
So are you one of those that as soon as you get a used piece of furniture, especially like this, are you going to try to change it up a little bit? You're going to sand it, repaint it, stain it? Or are you just going to leave it as is?
No, in fact, she's already talked to a friend of ours. I don't own a handheld electric sander, but we've got a friend who does have one. And so she's like, I've already talked to Alexis. She's going to let us borrow her sander. And I'm like, okay, but don't do too much. Let me kind of help.
Sure.
I mean, if anybody's watching or listening and your spouse has ever been pregnant, you're going to know I got to do a little extra, not just because, you have to, but because there's this part of me that's just I can't let you do all of this on your own. So
right.
Anyway, we're 100% changing it. She's like, yeah, I'm going to sand it and then I'm going to paint it. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care. I just know I'm going to end up helping. So,
all right. Well, fair enough. Good luck with that, sir, because I know that is a pain in the butt whenever I have to do stuff like that. But anyway, I am so excited for this week's episode of Geekverse Reactions. And if you are new here, if you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube live with us on the playback, doesn't matter. We are so close. We are now 5 subscribers away from our current goal of 100 subscribers by the time that the Book of Boba Fett, the upcoming live-action Star Wars show, hits Disney+. Like I've said a ton of time in these past few weeks, I really do genuinely think that we can break that goal easily well before December, before the Book of Boba Fett in fact hits. So
Absolutely.
Help us get to that goal. Click that subscribe button on YouTube if you have not done so. We would greatly appreciate it. It really helps us out as far as getting our content out to other people some more. And also like the video. Again, that just helps the algorithm. You know how YouTube is. The more likes, the more clicks, the more likelihood someone else is going to see it. So do all those nice and fun and good things for us to help Mando Talk and Geekverse Reactions to get out there in front of people, and we would greatly appreciate that. But with all of that down and out of the way, we've got a ton of Marvel news. We got a couple of DC news pieces, and then toward the end of the show, we will get to our main topic, if you will, the title of this episode, and that is our honest opinion so far on What If. I have caught up. I finally got the chance to get caught up.
He did it, everybody. He did it.
And I'll talk more about that later. But, DJ, let's go ahead and get into our news segment, if you will. First up is Marvel news. DJ, what is first on deck?
Marvel news, a lot of crazy stuff kind of happening out there and possibilities that we could potentially see somewhere in the future. But right off the top, James McAvoy talked to Collider on the possibility of playing Professor X in a future X-Men film while he makes the rounds to promote an audio drama based on the novel The Sandman. Now, Caleb, have you had any kind of interaction with this novel, The Sandman? Because I personally haven't.
Nope. Once I read this in our notes, it's the first I've heard about it.
See, and I hadn't heard about it until I found it the other day, and I thought, okay, this is something different. And I really do appreciate when other, actors and stuff kind of go into other areas. But the fact that he's doing an audio drama, I was like, that makes a lot of sense for someone like McAvoy.
Yeah.
Not to mention he's got some new TV show coming, I think, to Peacock, if I'm not mistaken. And that's looking really interesting. I can't remember the name of it, but we're talking about X-Men, and we're talking about James McAvoy specifically. Yeah. Well, Collider is just doing this great job in this conversation they were having, basically just asking McAvoy, they tossed out this idea of him playing a young Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek, in like a prequel kind of setting. But ultimately, he said it's just too obvious of a choice. He feels like if someone were to do it, it'd be somebody else would probably be better suited. So, however, when he was asked about returning to Marvel, he did have this to say, and I'm going to directly quote the Collider article. I feel like I got to explore not everything I wanted to explore because there's always more. Surely, but I got to explore a ton of Professor X, and I feel quite satisfied with what I got out of him as a performer. So as far as that, entails with us here at Geekverse Reactions / Mando Talk, does this give us any hope to see James McAvoy return to Marvel whatsoever? Caleb, what say you?
I think it's certainly possible, and I do think that Feige, I don't know if he's mentioned it, but he's toyed with it. He's teased it that eventually the X-Men are going to cross over into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, I think that we are currently a ways away from that. I think that they're first focused on getting the Fantastic Four incorporated with the MCU. So I think the X-Men and that franchise has a little bit to go as far as getting that set up. I would love to see McAvoy return as the character, but I guess, use this as an opportunity to see. I haven't seen him as Professor X. I haven't watched the recent X-Men movies beyond like the original, I think it was 3 or 4 that came out with all the main cast and crew that first kind of, in a sense, kick-started this whole comic book craziness as far as films go. X-Men, that original trilogy or 4, I don't remember, was it 3 or 4? Trilogy.
It's a trilogy.
Okay, that original trilogy really kind of kick-started all of this, so we really do have to thank all of those involved with that a lot as far as this genre becoming more important. But I say all of that to say I would love to see it because anything I've seen McAvoy in, he's great, but I have not seen him as Professor X personally, so I can't speak to it as much as I would certainly like to. Maybe I need to put that on the homework.
It's not a bad thing to put on the homework list, to be totally honest with you. I mean, when WandaVision was coming out, we got that tease of Quicksilver. And that specifically the Quicksilver from the X-Men universe that we've seen with McAvoy. And so my wife and I've never seen all the X-Men movies at that point. She's definitely never seen them. So I was like, hey, let's watch all of these. So whichever ones we couldn't, just have on a streaming platform, we rented. And we ended up watching all of those James McAvoy movies. And I can say that if he were to return as Professor X, I would personally be excited.
Okay.
I think underneath the Feige umbrella, it would be better done. And those of you who are listening or watching and have seen all the X-Men movies, you understand that there are some major valleys that take place in that story where it's like, what is happening? Why did they do that?
Yeah.
And I remember after watching Dark Phoenix, I went to a Facebook group and I was like, how you X-Men fans, how do you do it? How do you maintain sanity watching these?
Sure.
Because there's a lot of stuff that just is insane. So I think with Feige, if he were to join, it'd be great. What do you got?
And I think that part of that is why I haven't checked out the newer films, is because I've heard such negative criticism about them. And I feel like that's just affected me in feeling like I don't have to go see it. So maybe I should just formulate my own opinion, finally watch the things, and then go. That's what I
had to do. I just had to formulate my own opinion. Well, as far as that goes, now, does this give us hope? And we may have already answered this, but does this give us any hope to see him join the MCU or any of the X-Men for that matter?
I definitely think so. I think he's very much open to the idea, and if they want to if they want to keep the same cast or at least familiarity, if you will, I don't see why, as long as this character landed for people, as McAvoy acting as Professor X was good for the fans, then I don't see why they wouldn't go ahead and consider at least incorporating him, again, if the reaction from the fan base was positive for his character.
In my opinion, it was very good.
Okay.
You know, I kind of jumped into the middle of all of it in a weird place. I saw Days of Future Past before I saw any of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like piecing the puzzle of the story together. But anyway, that's what we have about James McAvoy and the X-Men universe. So if you have anything else you'd like to add, just drop us a comment underneath the video or tweet at us at Mando Talk or at Rebels Come Texan, and we will make sure to talk back to you about this, because even though Caleb has not seen the X-Men movies, I'd love to talk to you about it. I think it'd be a good time, and Caleb would too once he gets around to watching all of them.
Sure.
Like 20 years of film there.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to specifically Professor X a little bit more later in the show, though, whenever we get to kind of like a little speculation segment, if you will. Just a small tease, just a little bit, just a little. But we wanted to stick with the news and can keep giving you like the straight up facts and not necessarily teases or speculation. So the next thing on our news piece is all about Eternals, and boy, oh boy, you know, your boy here is pumped about Eternals, and the more I hear about it, the more pumped I get, and the information that we've got this past week as far as Marvel's Eternals goes is that it's reportedly getting a listed runtime of 2 hours and 36 minutes. Now, the Direct is the reporter for this. Does this length get us excited? And I will go ahead and say for a absolute fact that for me, that runtime of 2.5 hours essentially is perfect for me. I can't wait to see it. I think that there's a lot of world building that Eternals is going to need to do, because we got to know, why have these peeps not shown up all these previous years? I can't wait to finally get that answer, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. So DJ, what do you think about this 2.5 hour essentially runtime of Marvel's Eternals?
It doesn't faze me one way or the other. I mean, I'm of the opinion that most movies of this proportion should be 2.5 hours.
Sure.
You know?
Except
I think,
Venom.
Except Venom. Yeah. I mean, but with that, and I still have, I ran out of time yesterday to watch.
Comes out this Friday. Let's go.
I'm gonna make it happen. I got to make it happen this week. But you know, I think most movies like this should be 2.5-ish hours. In fact, you know, the thing about this is that it's making it longer than Avengers Endgame, which I can't remember already if you mentioned that or not, but it's supposed to be
Avengers Endgame.
That's what this article via the Direct has said. In fact, the Direct picked up this information from a Russian film distributor bulletin called Kino Metro, which, you know, I just immediately, when I hear, oh, we picked this up from some Russian website, I'm like, well, that's sketch. But they actually have been true to their listing before. You know, Halloween Kills and The Last Duel's runtimes are accurate according to their website.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be long. And also Batman, The Dark Knight Rises was like 2 hours and 45 minutes without credits.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
So like, if you can sit through the epic conclusion to Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, getting into something that is going to be a world building experience like Marvel's Eternals shouldn't really be a problem. It's not for me, you know, so I think it's a great call as far as the runtime goes. Okay.
Fact check time real quick though. Avengers Endgame is 3 hours and 2 minutes. I don't know if that's with or without in credit scenes and credits and everything of that nature though.
Okay.
But I don't think Endgame had end-credit scenes, if I'm remembering correctly, because they tried to make that to where, that's the conclusion of this phase. Yeah. So they didn't really tease anything up. So that's okay, though. Still, in that
That's on me. Yeah, that's
you're good. 2 hour to 30-minute mark, I think is a sweet spot. I think it's not too long.
Yeah.
It's the perfect length as far as this genre goes. And the more that I see about Eternals, the more I hear about Eternals, the more I look at the posters, the images, all the characters. Like Kit Harington right now is talking finally about his character coming up in Eternals. And I think I don't want to misquote something, but I'm pretty sure I read something today of Kit like making a joke of how they tried to match the actors' personalities to their powers in the film. And he was making this joke about how Richard Madden, the lead character, was able to shoot lasers out of his eyes, and
Yeah.
he's just like a normal human as we start the film. So Kit was kind of poking fun at that. And those two guys, you know me, Game of Thrones, those are my boys. I can't wait to
Yeah.
see these two perform together. Hopefully, I don't know if we'll see them together in the movie, but regardless, we'll see them together on screen, at least in separate scenes, and I can't wait to see it. I know myself and Maddie both. I admit it. I have a man crush on Jon Snow, Kit Harington. He inspired me to grow my hair out, honestly, but luckily I came to the conclusion that I just can't do it like Kit Harington, Jon Snow. So that's why I no longer have long hair. But anyway, we're getting really personal there. But
that's hilarious.
Anyway, you let us know out there what you think of Marvel's Eternals being reportedly from the direct 2 hours and 36 minutes long. I think that is good news, in my opinion. I think that's a sweet spot of any comic book, action-packed sci-fi film. With that down and out of the way, let's move on to our next news piece, and that is about Shang-Chi, a film I still have not seen. Now, I will say this, though. It just got super busy for me this past month. You know, those of you that don't know, my profession is a teacher. The beginning of the school year gets super crazy. But next week is fall break. I have plans not only to go see Venom, but I'm going to try to sneak in a Shang-Chi viewing as well.
Do it in one day.
I might just make it a back-to-back like viewing party for myself. I'm just going to go to my local movie theater. I'm going to get a large bucket of popcorn, and I'm going to hop from one movie to the next. Now, I will buy both tickets. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to try to illegally hop. I want to give my money to these creators that have worked on these films in such trying times, if you will, as far as movie theater releases go. Those are my plans. We'll see if it happens. I do know I'm going to go see Venom. I'm too excited about that film. But anyway, let's get back to the news, man. I'm rambling. I'm having too much fun having a conversation with you, DJ. But anyway, Shang-Chi.
I do have that effect on people.
Sure. Shang-Chi, it has topped domestic box office with $3.59 million as of this past Friday. This is now passing Black Widow as the highest grossing film of the year. So a simple question here that I have just to pose straight back to you, DJ. Does this fact that Shang-Chi is now the highest grossing film of the year domestically, does this surprise us?
Not at all. I mean, we've lacked any real reason, a big event to go to the movies. We've not had anything really this year aside from Shang-Chi and Black Widow that would warrant this is something we have to go see. So, and it makes sense. Marvel's the box office topper, and it has been for a long time.
Sure.
With that being said, I'm not surprised. It makes all the sense in the world. It's Marvel. It's a brand new character. To me, it just sets up where we're headed next. So, yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
Okay, and another thing, too, that you kind of mentioned there with Marvel being so successful, I know looking back on Black Widow and looking at those numbers, Black Widow, in my opinion, I felt like in a normal setting, it well underperformed. So, do we think that whole idea that Disney was originally doing with this same day release on Disney Plus Premiere, do we think that negatively impacted the box office totals for Black Widow? And I'll go ahead and just simply say absolutely. I think that there was a lot of people that preferred to just kind of stay at home, pay I think it's $30 for Premiere Access, and then they're able to watch that movie more than once for at least a few days. I don't know how long that runs, but in my opinion, absolutely that release of putting it on Disney Plus and in the movie theater in the same day negatively impacted Black Widow. But do you think that Black Widow would have beat Shang-Chi if it had only a theater release? I don't think that's in our notes, but I think that's the question that just popped up in my head as I was kind of saying those statements.
That's a tricky question to answer. I mean, we've had Black Widow for a while, and there are diehard Black Widow fans out there from just comic books. You know, I mean, ScarJo's done a fantastic job as the Black Widow. So to see her, I mean, she's a very well-known actress, one of the top actresses in Hollywood. It's really hard to say if it would have affected it any differently. It's its own what if you will. But I do, to go to the original question, yeah,
Sure.
I mean, it 100% negatively affected the box office because most people, I mean, not like us, but most people are like, I don't have to go to the movies. I can just sit at home. I mean, and watch it. It's no big deal. Or I'll
Right.
wait until it's on streaming, which it's about to be on streaming,
Yeah.
if it's not already. Oh, it is already on streaming. So, and Shang-Chi's coming out here pretty soon on streaming.
Mhm.
So
I
for
think
me,
on
it's,
Disney Plus Day, I think they announced that was coming to Disney Plus
yeah.
on Disney Plus Day.
Okay, and then that's something else to look forward to alongside of Disney Plus Day. I mean, so with that being said, yeah, Black Widow being released on Disney Plus 100% it hurt its box office totals because you don't have to go see the movie if you can just spend. And you think about it, if you're a family, I come from a family of 6, so if you $10 a ticket, basically that's $60. You cut that in half, watch it at home. I get it.
Multiple times.
Exactly. And they're making money that way. Yeah. So, and there was the whole lawsuit thing that Scarlett Johansson went through, and
props to her, by the way, on waiting until that film was done being in movie theater to come out and make that a thing. Props to her. I think that's extremely professional of her to do that.
I agree. I think that was very professional of her because it just, you don't want to do that during the movie because it'll hurt whatever else is going on Disney Plus.
Right.
And I think that she wants to have the possibility perhaps to come back as Black Widow.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see that in somehow or another, we have a multiverse now, so anything's possible. So, as far as all that goes, yeah, it hurt it. And there's not really much else to say on it, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Well, this does make me want to bring up another film that I'm looking really forward to for this year.
Okay.
And that is Dune. Now, we've previously talked about what to expect from the box office as far as Dune goes. I really don't think Dune's going to blow the box office away. And the reason for that is it's going to be released on HBO Max at the same day, and not for an additional price like Disney does. On HBO Max, it's just available to whoever has HBO Max. So, in a sense, customers of HBO Max feel like they're not paying any extra money. They're basically feeling like, oh, I can watch Dune for free at the house. So, that in itself, I just felt compelled to kind of mention that because, again, Dune is so fresh on my mind right now. I can't wait for that film anyway.
And the truth is, Dune's fresh on all of our nerd minds. And anybody who's been looking forward to this has been thinking about it. And I'm with you. I think most people aren't going to go see that in the theater. Now, streaming has its own way of working out profit. And I think it's all like I don't understand cryptocurrency at all. So I feel like cryptocurrency and profit through streaming are the same thing, even though I know they're not. It's just, I don't know. How does it work? No clue. So all that to say, yeah, most people probably won't go see it at the theater either because they're already paying for it.
Right.
And even then, if you're like me, and before I had a HBO subscription, I was like, I'll just sign up for the 1 month thing so I can watch the Snyder cut and then call it a day. But, I now have the subscription and I love it. I love that's how I was able to watch Seven Samurai, which I did finish, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
And, it's an amazing film. Everybody should see Seven Samurai at least once. But all that to say, yeah, that's kind of what streaming's doing to us right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfortunate because I am a movie theater guy.
Sure.
But, to each their own, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Shang-Chi on its successful mission, if you will, as far as becoming the #1 in the box office domestically for this year. We will see if that holds. I know we have a pretty incredible film of Spider-Man coming soon at the end of the year that I'm sure everyone is going to want to go see. And maybe Eternals, too. I don't know. Maybe that'll get the Game of Thrones fans out and wanting to go see it. And who knows? Who knows? I do think
those Angelina Jolie fans, too.
True.
Don't forget about that.
I think Eternals is really going to call to a lot of audiences. But anyway, that ends kind of our news segment there for Marvel. But we've got some speculation things coming up. And with that in mind, I know that sometimes spoilers and knowing anything about films is kind of cringy for some of you. So with that in mind, here's kind of a spoiler warning. I decided not to show images with this, only because, again, if you don't like spoilers, I don't want you to be spoiled with this, but just listen to our visual descriptions and you can just kind of get a visual image for yourself. And if you feel compelled to go do some further research, you can. I can try to link the images and things like that into our description of the YouTube video and of our podcast. But with that down and out, DJ was really the one that did all this research. For me, this completely flew under my radar. So, DJ, what is the speculation, if you will, or the small tidbits here and there that are leaking online? What do we got?
This I would consider a major spoiler.
Okay.
I really would, because, you know, it seems so random. And
spoiler alert.
Yeah, when stuff like this flies under that radar, it's really hard to unsee it. And that's where I am now. So sure. if you're wanting to know nothing about Doctor Strange, come back in like 5 minutes.
5 minutes. That's a healthy number.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just going to read what I've got. So final warning. Here we go.
Here we go.
Right, so fans are getting just a little bit heated about some new information coming out about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness after some images of a pre-visualized Wanda Maximoff looking similar to what she did in a comic book storyline where she kills Professor Charles Xavier.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, major spoiler type situation here. Sure. There are two images have come to us via 2 different Twitter accounts. No idea if they're linked. I'm assuming they're not because it's so random. But it comes to us from this guy named @CMB Royale and G Wotam or Wotam. I'm not really sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but sure. Anyway, on Twitter. And they put these images out there and I found it through Reddit.
Okay.
And so I'm going to read a Reddit. Now this is literally anybody on Reddit could have wrote this.
Agreed.
But there were plenty of people on Reddit who were like, this is a terrible idea. Uh-huh. And this one was the quote that I was like, if I'm going to quote anything, this is the one. Okay. So it comes from a Reddit user named Least Cap. And their quote is, if this script actually follows through with the rumors that Wanda kills Patrick Stewart's Professor X, by the way, that does specifically say Professor X, not James McAvoy. So we're looking at a very strange situation. They said it would be an all caps big middle finger to the fans who watched this character for 20 years. He had his arc. He had his closure. Let him be and don't kill him just for a quick bit of fan service. Now, that ends the quote. I 100% agree with this quote. You don't bring Patrick Stewart out just to let him die again. It just seemed like it's very distasteful. It's a disservice to those X-Men fans. And I think it puts the story of Logan, which was a phenomenal movie. I mean, I saw that at a drive-in movie theater, and even in a drive-in theater, it was fantastic. And all that to say, you just don't do that to Patrick Stewart. I think it's a bad idea if they do that.
Yeah.
Now they can kill James McAvoy. I don't care, but I mean, because it's whatever. But you don't take Charles Xavier, Patrick Stewart, Jean-Luc Picard, and drag him out just to say we're going to kill you, and he's just going to be like, okay, whatever. I mean, it seems like a bad idea. Caleb, what do you say about this?
I think it would be a bad idea. Kind of leading into the next question, though. I don't think this is a legit thing, if I'm being completely honest, only because I feel like Feige would know that. Why would he incorporate an X-Men character if he hasn't even set up this idea of X-Men being in the MCU yet, and let alone a big moment like that? If this previs image is legit, I feel like it may have been just thrown out there as far as just like a concept that creators were thinking about doing. But by no means do I expect this to actually come true. And who knows? Maybe it's just them messing around, and maybe it's one of those situations where these studios put things out there on purpose to get the fans stirred up. This might be one of those situations, in my opinion. I just don't see this happening personally.
Well, let's not forget that a very similar situation recently happened with The Mandalorian, where we were misdirected with a certain Jedi named Plo Koon. And
Facts.
It's very possible that Feige said, ooh, Favreau, Filoni, y'all are doing that over there at Lucasfilm? I got an idea. Yeah. So it's very possible that throwing out this random previs of Wanda facing off with Charles Xavier is a massive misdirection, and it could be a character we already know very well that she's fighting. And I don't know the storyline of Wanda Maximoff all that well to know what the Scarlet Witch is capable of beyond what I've already seen in the MCU.
Sure.
So by the time we get to Doctor Strange 2, by the time we get to it, I think we're going to know, okay, this is pretty much bogus.
Yeah.
It's really not another way to describe it.
Yeah.
But to go off of that, would we like to see any X-Men characters show up via the Multiverse of Madness? In one way or another.
I'm going to say no, only because I want to focus on the characters that they have already created that I think they've set up multiverse arc lines, arc points, if you will, and hold off on incorporating the X-Men until they have set it up. Well, man, I don't know. In WandaVision, they brought Quicksilver back for a reason, that actor. So they're definitely teasing with the idea of get ready, it's coming. I don't know if that's enough for me personally to be like, oh, okay, I'm ready to see them all in action, fully incorporated. But they're definitely teasing the idea.
Well, that's kind of where the nugget of this question came from for me, because I was like, well, we've already gotten Ralph Boner. Also, the dumbest combo of names ever, but he's there. I'm blanking on the name of the actor who played
Peters.
Him. Evan Peters, thank you. You're right. They wouldn't have just thrown him in there just to throw him in there. I really feel like they're saying, hey, we're going this direction in the future, and let's not forget that canonically within Marvel Comics, the father of Wanda Maximoff and Quicksilver is Magneto.
Correct.
And the fact that he is the father of those two twins canonically, is very important for us to remember. Now, I don't know if what we saw in WandaVision screws with that at all, but it's a thing. It exists, and that's something that we as movie fans should be prepared to see adapted in one way or another.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's definitely possible to see. I don't want to come off as I absolutely do not want to see it or things like that. Like, as long as they incorporate it correctly, I think it would be cool.
Yeah.
I just don't need to see it yet. I would personally like for them to build it up a little bit more before fully committing to it. And I guess it depends on, in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, how much time are they going to give Wanda? Like, is this really a Doctor Strange sequel, or is this a sequel to WandaVision and Doctor Strange all combined? Who knows? We don't know yet. I think once we get more info about that film, I'll better be able to answer the question of could we potentially see X-Men incorporated in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, and it's hard to say because, Captain America Civil War was not a Captain America sequel, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If anything, it was a sequel to Avengers Age of Ultron.
Agreed.
And I still stand, and I know several people do, that should have been Avengers 3. Well, you guys let us know what you think about that. Again, tweet, comment, all the things. But let's move on to our next thing, because speaking of Civil War, here goes Paul Blart on a segue. Just roll on by. We got Spider-Man No Way Home news, all right, and a little bit more kind of a speculation thing.
Yeah.
So in Spider-Man No Way Home, a fight will supposedly take place between Strange and Spidey. We've kind of gotten a little bit of that in the trailer already.
Sure.
In which Doctor Strange, however, will use his cloak to trap Peter, meaning Spidey will technically wear the cloak of levitation, which that's speculation, but it's fun speculation.
Sure.
So it doesn't matter. And this comes to us via this very random website called Cosmic Circus, which, again, I'm just digging out like the deep trenches of the underworld of the internet this week. But regardless, even though this is kind of a technical spoiler, it's more just kind of like fun speculation, if you ask me.
Sure. Sure.
So Caleb, what are your thoughts on Spider Strange happening in No Way Home?
That'd be cool. I'd love to see it. And what if they've toyed the idea of getting like a Spider Strange character with that cloak? As far as like a confrontation between the two characters, sure. Like if they have a confrontation for a brief moment as far as, okay, what's best for this situation that's really going down.
Right.
I could see that, and I could see it kind of being a funny moment where, Strange throws the that cloak on him to trap him, and it's kind of funny, but it leads to kind of a cool visual and a cool moment. I could see it, but I don't think like the feud, if you will, between the two will last long. I think if anything, it would be more so like comedic relief in the film.
Sure. And my Tins Foils hat over here says that we're actually getting Strange Supreme, and he's kind of like the underlying villain of this film. That's my, like, again, I not read that anywhere. I just saw the What If episode and was like, he's the bad guy. Yeah. That's the guy. And like, if him and Spider-Man kind of, go at it, would be really cool.
Sure.
But,
that would be cool.
It's just be out there. And I'm like, listen, when Civil War came out, I was like, I am 100% watching superheroes punch each other in the face. Yes, because that's exciting stuff. If Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, they're more like acrobatic and real mysticky, doing all this stuff. Yeah. It makes more sense for them not to punch each other in the face. However, I still want to see them punch each other in the face because it'd just be a good time. So that's what we've got as far as Marvel stuff, I think. I don't think we missed anything.
Nope.
That's kind of where we're at tonight. So let's move on into some DC news.
Yeah, let's get into some DC news.
DC news, yes. And not the politics, but the comic books, because that's where we live.
Right.
I don't live in that world.
We live in comic book world. We live in the Geekverse. We live in the
Absolutely.
Geekverse. Okay, first thing as far as DC news goes, I'll probably butcher this name, so bear with me.
I would too.
Barbara Muschetti, the Flash producer, said in a now deleted comment on Instagram, there will be no Flash trailer at DC Fandom in a couple of weeks. Now, because that comment is deleted, I kind of want to say we might, actually. I feel like we might get some form of a teaser, only to be like, we said initially that you weren't going to get one, but here's something to make you feel a little bit better. I mean, we've been getting like these costume teases, like images that keep getting put on Instagram. I think we're due something for The Flash, but I wouldn't be upset if we didn't get anything for this film. What do you think, DJ?
I'm not upset if we don't. I would actually, this is kind of one of those films that if I never saw a trailer, I wouldn't mind. Weirdly enough, because I have been following the DC, EU for a while now. I mean, I've actually been trying to get all of them on Blu-ray just to have them, because I am a huge Batman fan, and the Man of Steel was just an incredible movie. So anything that ties back to those, makes me excited, makes me happy. But if we don't get a trailer, that's fine. And if we do, that's a plus for me. So no skin off my nose one way or the other.
Okay, sweet. Now, what's your excitement level for this film?
When I was watching the Flash TV show, I got off of it because it got boring, and
I'm in the same boat.
I mean, once Stephen Amell left the Arrowverse, I was like, I don't even really want to watch this anymore. I got into the Arrowverse for Arrow, I mean, I love the Green Arrow TV show. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I got a green background. It's not a coincidence. I'm just gonna be real honest with you. So the fact that the Flash TV show is that way, it just kind of like, I've seen the Barry Allen thing. It's every season is, you're not fast enough. Well, we're going to get you there. And unless Warner Brothers in the cinematic side of things can change that, then I'll be excited. Right now, I'm not as excited. I'm actually just excited to see Michael Keaton, to be real honest.
That's what I was going to say, is I'm most excited to see, and rumored, Ben Affleck. I'm excited to see multiple Batman in this film. I think that'll be really cool, which is kind of unfortunate. We're sitting here wanting to watch a Flash movie for Batman, not for Flash. Yeah. But that's just kind of the world we live in.
That's what brings in the money. That's what brings in the money over there at DC is Batman, and they all know it. They all know it.
Yep. All right, DJ, what's next for DC?
Well, we got just one more thing really for DC, and it actually connects a little bit to Mando, to Mandalorian, but only like a sliver. I can already hear that Mandalorian music playing.
Yeah.
So we're all familiar with the absolute crap fest that was Batman and Robin, starring George Clooney, and the Joel Schumacher directed Batman. May he rest in peace. But with that, because the Batman is coming out within the next year or so. I think less than a year at this point. Robert Pattinson's Batman. Somebody out there they said, you know what? I have the best idea for someone to play Mr. Freeze, and it was none other than Moff Gideon himself, Giancarlo Esposito. And somebody had this insanely cool looking image that they drew up of him as Mr. Freeze. And I was like, book it. I love it. That's fantastic. Like, as far as fan casts go, I've never been more on board with a fan cast since Rosario Dawson being cast as Ahsoka. I think it's like perfect fan casting. So Caleb, I see you nodding your head. You've got a blue background. Yeah. So let's go with how do you feel about Giancarlo being fan casted as, I want to make sure that's very clear, fan casted as Mr. Freeze in Robert Pattinson's Batman universe.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. You mentioned that this is specifically for Robert Pattinson's Batman universe.
Yeah.
I think that visually would nail it. I think it would crush it. I think Esposito as Mr. Freeze would be insane in a good way. I don't want anything else at this point. Now that this fan casting is out there, I expect Giancarlo Esposito there as Mr. Freeze and no one else. That's all I have to say.
Well, that's all fine. I remember back when Doctor Strange was first kind of being teased, and that goes back to Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Was that kind of that first name drop we got of Stephen Strange? Rumors were floating about that Joaquin Phoenix could potentially play Doctor Strange, and for a long time I was like, nope, I don't want to watch Benedict Cumberbatch. I want to see Joaquin Phoenix as Doctor Strange. And then we got Joker. And so once we got Joker, I was like, okay, he's fine. I don't need to ever see him as anything else but Joker ever again. Or Caesar from Gladiator.
Right.
Or Meryl from Signs. Just those are my three Joaquin Phoenix movies. But anyway, as far as fan cast go, I think it's a great call. It's fun times, and it makes a lot of sense to me. Giancarlo is a great bad guy. Although I've only seen like one episode he was in of Bad Batch. I'm not Bad Batch. I'm so sorry. What was it?
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. Yeah, it's the B. It's those B words.
Sure.
Breaking Bad. I thought he was great in the one episode I watched he was in, and then also, of course, Moff Gideon, Mandalorian is just fantastic. So I like it.
Add another one to that list. And I know you haven't seen this, but they're building him up as more of a villain in The Boys. And he is crushing it in that show. I think he got Emmy nominated. I think he got Emmy nominated for The Mandalorian as Moff Gideon. He also got nominated for The Boys. Like this was the year of Giancarlo Esposito. It's quite unfortunate that he didn't win any of those awards, but he's crushing it. He's
going to nab one.
He's one of my favorite performers out there right now, so I would love to see him in any type of universe he wants to play in. Okay, that is all of our DC news. Real quickly, though, I have some things outside of Marvel or DC, and the first thing that I wanted to talk about was Netflix's 2021 Tudum highlights. Now, this apparently is a new event that they plan on doing every year where they kind of release maybe, like your Disney Plus Day, your DC Fandom, like all those different things. This is basically Netflix's version. And in this Netflix Tudum 20, man, I feel silly whenever I read it.
I know.
I feel silly when I read it like normal. Tudum. Yeah. But you have to like say it like Tudum in order for it to even sound catchy. If you say it normal, it sounds stupid, if I'm being completely honest.
I love it.
But anyway, Netflix's Tudum. I can't do it.
You can't do it. Do I need to take over?
No, I got it. Okay. In this event, we're just going to reference it as the event moving forward. We got a Witcher Season 2 trailer. A Witcher Season 2 trailer, and I, for one, am somebody that loved the first season. If I'm being completely honest with you, watching the first season of The Witcher was the first kind of show that sparked my energy and interest in starting Geekverse Reactions.
Okay.
That's how much I enjoyed The Witcher, because I wanted to talk about it with somebody. But we got a Season 2 trailer for that, and also in this same universe, Netflix announced a family-friendly series as well as Season 3 of the original show The Witcher. So that's big news for those of you that are Witcher fans. I know for me, Henry Cavill in season 1, phenomenal. I loved it. Can't wait to see season 2, and that trailer looked great. We also got a Army of Thieves teaser, which is a prequel to Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. I have not seen Army of the Dead yet. DJ, have you seen that film?
No, and
You haven't, okay.
I feel like I need to, because I've heard so many good things about it.
Sure.
That and also, we've got Zack Snyder's sort of Star Wars-y-esque
good
thing
call.
coming out. So I kind of want to get an idea of what that feels like, because outside of the DC universe, I've only seen like one other Zack Snyder film, and that's 300. And so for me to like jump into that, I really want to see how that goes.
Yeah, me too. I need to add that to the list as far as my homework goes. Other things released during this event. Cobra Kai season 4 trailer. I'm somebody that has loved Cobra Kai up to this point. That's in the Karate Kid universe, if you will. I've thoroughly enjoyed that show, so I suggest anybody out there that if you love the Karate Kid and you just love a good TV show, check out Cobra Kai if you have not. Season 4 is coming out at the end of this year. Extraction 2. The first Extraction movie was directed by none other than the Russo brothers, who we know from Marvel, Avengers Endgame, and a couple of other Marvel films. I can't wait to see Extraction 2. I was a big fan of the first one. And also Sam Hargrave. So I think the Russo brothers produced Extraction, but I think Sam Hargrave directed Extraction. And that is important to me because Sam Hargrave has been the second unit director for The Mandalorian season 2, and I believe he is second unit director for Book of Boba Fett. So that in itself lets you know of how talented Sam Hargrave is as far as, action and fight scenes and things like that. So I can't wait to see Extraction 2. The trailer looked good. And then the last big takeaway for me from the Netflix Tudum 2021 event was Stranger Things 4, its teaser trailer. I'm a big Stranger Things fan. We're a big Stranger Things fans over here in my house. DJ, what do you think of all of these different things that I've mentioned? Is there one that sticks out to you of the big highlights that I took away?
Really, Extraction's the one that stands out the most for me. And just to confirm, it is directed by Sam Hargrave, and it is written by Joe Russo.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
There's that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't aware that it was based on a novel until this moment. But
I didn't know it was based on a novel either.
Yeah, it's based on a novel. However you pronounce the Spanish word for caution is the name. I think it's Cuidad or Cuidad. I don't really know I don't remember that side of Spanish that well. But anyway, it's based on a novel, which I thought cool. And I mean, honestly, I like Chris Hemsworth. I mean, I think he's great, and I want to see more of that character in that storyline. I thought the first Extraction was great.
Yeah.
Nonstop testosterone, bang, bang, pow, pow, shoot 'em up stuff. I love that kind of stuff all day.
Bang, bang, pew, pew.
Bang, bang, pew, pew. It's a callback to Thursday, which I guess, can I go ahead and plug
it, man? Plug it.
So this coming Thursday, we're going to be on Mando Talk and finishing out our spoiler-filled review of Star Wars Visions. And as of right now, I believe I can say that both Jacob and my brother Gavin will be back.
That's the plan.
To finish out Visions with us, which I know Gavin's ready. Which, by the way, he actually broke his toe yesterday.
Ooh, oh no!
So he'll be limping in here whenever we do this on Thursday. But beside the point, I'm really looking forward to that, and so we'll get to talk all those kinds of things soon. But back to the topic at hand, as far as the Tudum highlights go, which either they need to work on the name. I'm with you. They need to either work on the name or make it not sound silly. Or maybe give it an abbreviation, like does Tudum stand for something? Like that's what I kept thinking. I was like, is this not an acronym? Like the whole time I'm reading this, looking up until today, because you actually added this to our show notes, I thought it was an acronym. It's just absolutely silly.
It took me several days to figure out that Tudum was not an acronym or anything for short for anything. It was just, in fact, Tudum. And it finally clicked. Oh, that's the sound that it makes whenever you pull up the Netflix app.
Which, like, we all know that, but like, gosh, I mean, I honestly didn't even know Netflix was planning an event.
I didn't either.
And so this is all
Tudum.
like, oh, Tudum, like Tudum. I don't know. We got to figure out something with this. But anyway, by the way, I've looked this up before. You can download the Netflix Tudum as a text tone if
Really?
you want. Yes. Hey. It's so I thought
I'm never gonna look at that noise or listen to that noise the same anymore. Every time I hear Tudum now, I'm gonna think of why did they name their event that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm gonna go home tonight and watch Netflix just to hear that and be like, all right, I'm good, and then turn it off. So ridiculous.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, listen, we got one more thing before we get to Marvel's What If, and that is this image that's going around. It's our first look of The Last of Us, the show that is keeping Pedro Pascal too busy to shoot The Mandalorian Season 3. Obviously, I'm not too salty about that. But anyway, I'm excited to see this. Personally, I have never played The Last of Us game before, so I can't wait to dive into this story in a series, and I don't have any plans of playing the game beforehand or even watching gameplay. So my first introduction to these characters will be Pedro Pascal and all the other talented cast and crew that's involved with this series. I have heard incredible things about The Last of Us storyline, though, so I know that's really exciting because some people swear up and down that this is the greatest story ever told in video game format, and I can't wait to see that. And I do think that HBO is probably the best producer platform to do a show like this, so I cannot wait to see The Last of Us, and this image got me pretty stoked. And I also thought that the image was straight pulled from the game when I originally saw it, so I don't know. I think that speaks to how well these two performers portray the video game characters. DJ, what did you think of this Last of Us image that was making its rounds?
Well, first of all, I've never played the game, but I do hear amazing things about the story. And so because I hear amazing things about the story, I am a little bit more excited for this the series than I probably would have been otherwise. If I never heard anybody talk about it, I'd be like, whatever, just I don't care because I want him to be a Mandalorian. And let's be honest, for me personally, the only reason I'm talking about this right now is because it is preventing him from being a Mandalorian full time, which bugs the absolute fire out of me. I think we should have just had Brandon Wayne be the Mandalorian the whole time at this point, Pedro Pascal is great. I love his voice of the Mandalorian, but I just would preferred him to just not be in it at this point, which may be a hot take for some people, but we'll leave that for another time.
That is definitely a hot take, my friend. Definitely.
I'm just saying, we are even freaking Giancarlo Esposito on the Emmys red carpet straight up said, we don't even need Pedro. He said it big as day. We don't even need Pedro.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like, he did say that.
If you're saying you don't need Pedro, then what have we been doing for 3 years now? But that's beside the point.
I don't know. Oh gosh. Okay, never mind. We'll hold off on that.
We need to save that for Mando Talk. That's on me. But
no, you're good. You're good.
As far as The Last of Us goes, I've seen people talk about how this image that you had up just a moment ago is like almost a full-on like perfect pull from the game. They said the wardrobe, the backpack, everything was just like perfect.
Man, and it took me a second to notice the crashed plane in the background.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was just like, I don't even know what I thought it was. I was like, oh, there's something. Oh, that's like a debris of something. And I because I know absolutely nothing about this story. Mm-hmm. You saying it's a crash plane, I'm like, oh, well, okay, it's a crash plane. Like I had no idea. So, but anyway, I think it'll be good. Why not? HBO Max, they've done well with other stuff. Mm-hmm. Why not? It sounds like a good time.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see that show, but we are now ready to get to our main topic. We put it at the very end of our show this week. I apologize for those of you that clicked this episode to check it out, but hey, we got you here now, so we got you. Ha ha ha. Stick around for other episodes, and we appreciate you listening up to this point. But DJ, why don't you lead the way, because I have a feeling that my opinions on What If are, I don't know, we'll see. Why don't you lead the way with What If?
Well, I want everybody to know that when I made these show notes, I told Caleb on Discord and Twitter and through our Google Doc for our show notes, do not read the show notes unless you're caught up on What If, which, if I'm being perfectly honest, it was my Caleb, hurry up and watch it so we can talk about it.
No, I read between the lines on that.
I'm glad.
Don't worry. I read between the lines.
I know you did. And I bet you were absolutely not salty whatsoever about that. But no, I was just picking on Caleb. We're bros here. We pick on each other, so it's all fun. But at the same time, I really think that the last 2 episodes of What If, really episode 6 with the Killmonger episode.
And by the way, spoilers at this point for What If. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure I threw that out there. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. You're good. And I should have done that. But, the Killmonger episode last week, I could take or leave it. Not a big deal. And I said that last week on Geekverse. I'm like, yeah, I could take or leave it. Not a big deal for me. However, for this week's episode, this is the one that I really want to focus on, because it is probably one of the most anticipated episodes of What If, in my opinion, up to this point.
Okay. The Thor one this past week.
Yes, episode 7.
Throwing the parties.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think
let's hear what you got.
What this whole story, first of all, not a massive fan of Jane Foster just becoming what I will borrow a phrase from Nacho Libre, making Jane Foster a floozy. I don't like that, because let's face it, Natalie Portman is Padme Amidala, and how dare you mistreat the queen? I'm just going to throw that. I'm just going, come on. Say something about the prequels, but that's a throwback to that
Say it
SNL
with your chest.
right here all day. But at the same time, I kind of understood what they were doing. I didn't like it, but that's what they did. Where I finally got interested in this story was when Thor's mom showed up. And I was like, that is great. I thought that was fantastic as far as that goes. But I'm going to give a quick little spoilery, it's totally a spoiler, just the last 5 seconds of this episode.
Sure, yeah.
It ended with Thor asking Jane out on a proper date. I respect that. I wish he'd have done that in the first place. Whatever. But before he could even walk 4 steps away from her, out of this cloud of dust steps out the ultimate evil combination of Vision and Ultron, flanked by Ultron bots that we saw in Age of Ultron, which, honestly, it's just Ultron, because Ultron was trying to become Vision, and out of everything that happened in Age of Ultron, you've seen it, Vision is basically born, but this is Ultron fully immersed and fully imagined. That's where tomorrow's episode is going.
Yep.
And that's what I'm excited about. That's why I think this is such an important episode in What If. And if previous speculation from myself and the rest of the internet is on point, we are going to see some team ups happening from the universe that we've already received this year in this season of What If. So with that being said, Marvel's released this image to see what the next episode, teasing the arrival of Ultron with the Infinity Stones on his chest and in his head. Obviously it's Vision. So we're teasing this arrival of the ultimate Ultron. Okay. He's adorned with the Infinity Stones. Meaning that the universes in What If could potentially collide, which I'm all for. So, Caleb, I ask you first, let me get what your opinion was on this.
On the past episode?
This past episode, yeah.
Okay, episode 6, the Killmonger one. It's okay. I kind of enjoyed seeing that what if scenario of what if Tony wasn't held prisoner and became Iron Man, yada yada yada. That was kind of cool for me, honestly, but it wasn't groundbreaking or anything. Episode 7, the one with Thor throwing parties, here comes a hot take I was not a fan of. I am, as somebody that has loved Thor the most of all of the MCU characters there for a while, he has now turned into comedic relief only, and that's starting to frustrate me to death, if I'm being completely honest, especially with Endgame, fat Thor, whatever, haha, funny. But, he did get his moment in Infinity War. In Infinity War, he gets his moment. But, I don't know, that's just my opinion. I'm kind of getting annoyed with this whole comedic relief of Thor. So that whole throwing a party thing, it was cool, it was funny. But I will say, there with the final 5 seconds, whenever Ultron shows up, I was like, okay, if they're going to keep keep tugging on that chain there, if they pull on that thread with these next episodes, which again, you alluded to it with the poster that they've released for this week's episode, I'm really hoping that these episodes are going to start connecting to each other, and we're going to see all of these characters come together in this multiverse of madness, if you will. Then I'm excited. But so far, if I'm being completely honest, I don't know if this is the midway point. I don't know how many episodes are in this thing. Do you know, DJ?
9? 8?
Really? Because
yeah,
this next week is 8.
Then I'm gonna go say 9 because I don't remember.
Okay. I don't remember either.
I apologize.
But if that's the case, 3/4 of the way through at least.
Yeah.
It hasn't been a must-see, in my opinion. But with that said, if they turn it around in these last few episodes and they do make all of this kind of seem more interesting and connected to each other, I'm in. I'm invested. But I do think that it's taken too long to get to this point to where it maybe has lost some viewers at this point, because that's where I was a couple weeks ago. I just now sat down and binge watched the past 2 weeks because it just, I don't know, I just wasn't motivated to see it. That might just be my own personal negative opinion, but I've enjoyed it. Like I'm having fun watching it. It's just not getting me going the way that I was hoping that it would start getting me going. But you are correct that it's starting to get interesting if they keep pulling on that and they incorporate, Ultron being the ultimate villain in this what if scenario, and we might see all of these different situations all come up together.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like I said, I could take or leave the Killmonger episode.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Now you're right, 100%. We do not need to continue to use Thor as comedic relief. And let's face it, Loki, the series Loki, was so good that to make Loki the butt of the joke would be the wrong way to go. So what do? You take his brother and shave his beard off and make him a child, basically.
Yeah.
And that I get, for a cartoon, I get it. But even then, it's like I said, I wasn't a fan of the Jane Foster stuff, and I also wasn't a fan of Thor at all in this episode until Ultron showed up.
Right.
And like you said, I'm now more excited because I actually put off watching episode 7, the Thor episode, until yesterday.
Okay.
So I was like, I mean, life gets busy too, but at the same time, I was like, I don't care. Like Killmonger, I took a dive after Killmonger, which is honestly, after watching the end of this episode with Thor, that's why I was like, oh my gosh, Caleb needs to watch this.
Sure.
Like he needs to see what I'm seeing and what everybody's seeing, so that we can get ready for tomorrow's episode of What If, because with Ultron, I mean, it is Ultron, showing up, unless they name him something else, which they very well could.
Ultimate Ultron.
Ultimate Ultron. It sounds like what are all those old school shows where like the car becomes like a robot arm and then like the truck is the leg? You know what I'm talking about?
No,
it's like
that sounds like an off-brand Transformers to me.
I think it's called Voltron, if I'm not mistaken. But those Voltron fans out there, if I'm right, tell me. And if I'm wrong, tell me. I would rather be wrong in this case. But it's like you're getting all these things, these parts coming together, and it's building this one big monster of a whatever. But I don't know. Anyway, kind of deviated there for a second. All I'm saying is I think this is just one of those very important things that we all needed to kind of hone in on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've kind of already covered what does it mean for the What If universe. I would just go ahead and say that it looks like everything's coming together. I think here at Geekverse Reactions, we are of the same mind on that one. Do we expect to see a major team up? I really freaking hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah. I mean, he's basically Thanos, but Ultron, and Ultron could have been a better character, but the fact that we're going this direction, I'm just curious if it's going to be Paul Bettany voicing the character, or if it's going to be what's his name who voiced Ultron, whose name I can't remember.
He's in The Office
from season 8 of The Office.
He's great as Ultron.
His Robert California was his name in The Office.
Yeah.
But let me just Google who he is.
Yeah, and shout out to Zach in the chat. We see you. He said, we will, as far as seeing the major team up, and he said the Watcher will bring them together. And I'm glad that he mentioned the Watcher, because I wanted to point out to something that I have actually appreciated about this show is the slower and slower build up and reveal of the Watcher. Like, at first he just was initially just eyes in the sky, and now we actually see what the Watcher looks like.
Yeah.
And his full personality, or not personality, but what's the word? Characteristics, if you will.
Yes, it's not just...
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that we've gotten this slow build-up of seeing this character more, and I think that they're doing that for a reason, like Zach said, about the Watcher bringing them together. I think that would be great to see.
And I appreciate Zach letting me know that I was talking about Voltron, and Ultron is voice Voltron, Ultron. Whatever. They just rhyme is all. I thought there was something there. Ultron is voiced by James Spader.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, he put that. And Zach, thank you so much for putting that in the comments. I'm sitting here like, I need to Google that, because
sure.
I no longer can claim I'm an Office fan, is what just happened. But,
yeah, kind of, in a way.
Yeah, you know what? I'm rewatching it through Peacock right now for the first time in like a year and a half. So like, bear with me, everybody. But Zach, appreciate you, man. But anyway, I think they're going to fight Ultron, and then finally, who do we hope to see in the potential team up from What If? Like, if we can go back over the last few episodes, who do you want to see in this team up?
I mean, obviously, the first character that comes to mind is I want to see Spider-Man, as always. That would be cool. Just any of them that they want to throw together, I'm down for. I'm here as long as it kind of collides and makes sense. I've really struggled with like making predictions with the show, because it's a new story every week, so it's kind of hard to see the thread that they're going for. So I don't want to sit here and get my expectations set. I'm good with whatever they have in store as far as a team up goes. I would love to see Peggy Carter come back, though. I enjoyed that first episode.
She's my number one on the list. Captain Carter. I said this when we first reviewed What If, the first episode. I almost prefer Captain Carter to Captain America, which everybody who has said that to me is just, or I've said that to, they're like, what in the world are you talking about? Why on earth would you say that? Like, listen, I just love Peggy Carter.
Nah.
Like, she's awesome.
No, she's great. She ain't Steve Rogers, though. Come on now.
Well, I'll say this. I like her more than Black Widow. I mean, if I get a standalone female-led comic book movie, Agent Carter all day. And I know we got 2 seasons of a show, but like Captain Carter is just like the coolest thing to me. But right behind her, Spider-Man, absolutely. And I want to see that. I want to see the Spider-Man from the Zombies episode, because that was a very mature Spider-Man.
Agreed.
And then last and certainly not least, Star-Lord T'Challa.
Good call.
Star-Lord T'Challa comes back. I'm all over that. So,
yeah, I would say that's my top 3. Now that you said it, and now that I could think about it a little bit more, I would agree that those are probably the top 3 characters I would like to see team up together.
Yeah, and I think that we're going to see Steve Rogers, Iron Man, whatever that was called, the Hydra Stomper. I think we might see that, because it's a big, you need kind of like your Hulk type character.
Sure, yeah.
And he fits that bill. So, and Zach Horvath again in the chat says we're going to see every Focus character, which I think that's a really safe bet.
I think that's a good call. 100%.
Well, that's kind of all I have as far as What If goes. Caleb, do you have anything else you want to say about What If?
No, other than I know that I've been kind of negative as far as how the show's been going, but I do think that, if they bring it all together here in these final few episodes, however many we have left, I think it'll end up being worth the wait. But I'll leave my negativity in the past, and I really do think that tomorrow's episode with Ultron coming in, I'm hoping that it gets legit real quick, and I'll leave it at that. So that ends our Geekverse Reactions episode for this week. We appreciate those of you that have watched live. We appreciate those of you that are watching on the playback on YouTube, or if you're listening on your preferred podcast destination. We appreciate the support across all platforms. So like I've said before, I don't want you to ever feel like you're getting left out. We just appreciate any kind of support that we get. So regardless of where you're listening or watching, thank you so much. And again, be sure to click that subscribe button, though, if you enjoy watching us on YouTube, because we are so close to that goal of 100 subscribers, and we would appreciate you getting us to that goal. I will leave it at that. DJ, I don't really have anything else to say except I am excited for Thursday whenever we talk about Star Wars Visions some more. And yeah, until we do Geekverse Reactions next Tuesday, let's talk about some Star Wars next, baby. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
There's so much good Star Wars stuff to talk about this week. It was like I'm making the show notes for Geekverse yesterday and today, and like thinking, man, Caleb's going to have all the fun making the show notes for Thursday because all this awesome Star Wars news has come out. And so we'll save all of our opinions for then. Very excited about Thursday, of course, because, you know, our brothers will be back.
Yeah.
It's always a good time when we have guests, and me having been a guest originally, now bringing on guests myself is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So come back and hear our takes on that. But I have nothing else to say for Geekverse this week, but I do want to send us off with my favorite outro I could have ever come up with for anything, and that is, we will see you on Earth 2.